Hi everyone, it's Charlie and welcome to another episode of Oh My God Roleplay. I'm going to be doing a part 2 to definitions of roleplay. For those of you who have been watching this and are like, what is she talking about? You will now be more informed. The link to the first video is down below, as well as in this annotation right in front of my face. Click that and you will get to part 1, which I feel are the most important definitions when it comes to roleplay. Yes, most important. Definitely most important. 100%. So we're going to start off with smut. Some of you probably already know what this is, depending on, even if you don't roleplay. Smut is essentially writing out a sex scene, something sexual, whether it be like oral, actual intercourse, making out. Smut. Smut. That's what it is. Basically just writing out the act of anything that is sexual. Next is angst. Angst is the bane of my existence. Angst is basically anything that goes horrible. Anything that makes you like angry or sad or just make you want to go, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I doing this to myself? When you plot out something that is just Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is just angst. That's all it is just angst. That's a good example. Yeah. Game of Thrones is just all angst. Everybody dies. Everything horrible happens to good people. It's angst. Angst! The next definition is fluff. Fluff is the opposite of angst. Fluff is essentially everything goes great, cuddling, anything that is happy and casual and just makes you feel like, oh, fluffy on the inside. That's why it's called fluff. It's fluff. It's just fluff. Good things. Good vibes. Next is a thread. A thread is essentially an ongoing roleplay between two people. It's a thread of replies, a thread of posts. A whole entire plot written out in a thread, or in different types of threads, depending on if there's a time skip or something like that. So, just a continuous thread of posts. Next is I should have done this in the first one because it's also actually really important. It's called power playing. So in my last video I talked about god moding. Power playing is just as bad, if not worse. Actually, they're about the same. They're about the same amount of shittiness. Power playing is essentially just, so I play Odin and my friend plays Thor. If I start writing for Thor and making him do things that the person who plays him doesn't want to do, that's power playing. So it's like, I wrote a post being like, Odin grabbed Thor's wrist and Thor screamed. I'm not Thor. I don't play Thor. I don't get to write what Thor does. That is my partner's job. That is my partner's responsibility, not mine. That is my partner's privilege. I don't get to do that. I don't do that. Don't do that. It's terrible. It's like the worst thing you can do. Next definition is drafts. Drafts are the bane of everybody's existence. If you roleplay on Tumblr, you know what drafts are. And you probably have a lot of them. Drafts are essentially posts that you need to reply to, drafted in a separate category. And for me, they just sit there and accumulate dust. And I look at them and I go, I should really do those. And then I see a pretty new thread and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna go do that one instead. Story of my life. Story of a lot of people's lives, I'm sure. Next is ship. A lot of people know what ship means. It's basically just relationship. It's just the end of relationship. Just abbreviated. That's all it is. Ship is basically when you ship two people together. Crack. Not that kind of crack. Crack is essentially just ridiculousness. Out of character. Anything that you play with your character that is totally out of character, but it's to the point where everybody realizes it and it's hilarious. Next is OTP. OTP stands for one true pairing. One true pairing. That means that they are the couple that you put together, the ship that you put together that you love so much that you want your relationship goals to be. You just, one true pairing. You see them and you're like, oh, my heart. My heart. Then there's no TP. No TP means for hell nah, that's not my OTP. So basically, for me, an OTP is Thorky, which is Thor and Loki. I can't stand it. I'm sorry if you love it. You do you, but it doesn't make sense for me. That's like a pairing that I would never ever put together. That is my OTP. OT3 is one true threesome, or three-way. A polyamorous relationship between three characters, that is my OT3. It's like an OTP, but with three people rather than just... You get what I'm saying, okay? It makes sense. It makes sense. It does. It makes sense. Next definition is headcanon. A canon aspect that the person who plays the character made up on their own to add to that character. It came from their head. I think that's what it means. It's probably not, but basically, like, I made up my own aspects and character development towards Odin that wasn't there before. Because you have to make characters your own in some aspect, even if they are canon characters. If you don't do that, then why would we have different people playing them? What's the point? You know what I mean? So everybody adds their own little flair, their own little spark to their character, and that's what headcanons are. That was a good explanation. Good job, Charlie. The next definition, independent. Independent is usually it's independent blog, essentially. Independent blog just means that you only play that one character, everything surrounding that one character. Instead of doing multi-muses, you do one muse, and that's who your blog is dedicated to. So I have an independent blog for Odin. Odin is the only character I have on there. I put everything I have into him, just him. Basically, that's what that means. Like, when you see an independent blog, it just means that it's just the one character, most of the time. Next are memes. I don't know why we call them memes, because for me, memes are like Success Kid and, you know, like unpopular opinion puffin. Memes in roleplay essentially are things that can be put into someone's inbox to start threads, explore character development, to personally get to know the mun, I guess. It's just basically something that people can send to you. So you host a meme, and someone sends you that into your inbox via that meme. Yeah. So like sentence starters. Send this symbol into my inbox and my muse will express how they feel about your muse, that sort of thing. Next is canon divergent. Canon divergent means, it can mean a lot of different things. So basically canon means that there are set things that about the character and the time frame and certain things about the fandom and that surrounding that character that are canon, but they diverge away from that a little bit. So an example would be a canon divergent Steve Rogers, so Captain America. Maybe he never actually got frozen or something like that. That is canon divergent. Diverging away from what the canon is. So it can be done really well and it can be done really poorly. It's definitely something that you have to have a really good balance. You really have to understand what you're doing when you're diverging away from canon. Yeah. This one was not nearly as structured as my last one, but I just kind of wanted to wing it, just sort of, you know, going for it. I hope that this was entertaining and helpful and you understand what I'm saying. If you like what you saw, subscribe down below and comment on more if you want to see more definitions, because I have a couple more, but I didn't want to make this video too long because there are so many and I just didn't want to do all of them all at once because I'm running out of breath. So yes, let's stop there.